Well, today folks, we've got Audioline 340, which is coming from another dealer. Sometimes this happens, and sometimes I have to send radios across to other engineers because I just can't get my head around a particular fault, and that's what's happened in this case. This one's neither transmitting or receiving. The other dealer has changed quite a lot of parts, including the audio IC, and both the driver and the final output transistors, because there was no transmit and receive, and there's still no transmit and receive, and I've been able to iron that out for them. Very simple things. It was just tuning on the transmit that actually fixed the fault, and the receive was just a snag with the audio IC just here. They've put in a new one, and they should have cleaned the printed circuit board better. We use another service old product here, which is the isopropyl alcohol, which we brush on, and it just removes that residue, and it must have just been causing a short between one of the voltages and ground. So I just had to unsolder one pin, clean around it, and put it back together, and they'd actually done all the hard work. So we're going to retune this now for them, and so it's no reflection on them. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you can't get your head around a set, and you know, you can spend a lot of time and you think, oh my goodness, what's happened there? But what has happened to this set originally is that some bright spark, instead of connecting it to 12 volts, has connected to 230 volts AC mains. That's why the other dealers had some fun with it. Right, so we'll start with the transmit, and we'll start with doing the VCO. And as ever on these, this is very good Uniden chassis, and what we're looking for is test point 1, which is resistor 52, and what we're hoping for is that on channel 40, and I'll just select channel 40, that we will have 3.5 volts in transmit. Helps if I put my test set into transmit mode. I think we're just going to need to adjust that a tiny bit. .9. Now I'm not going to do that because the VCO coil is still sealed, and so I feel that's within its what we're going to do. Just check it's in lock on channel 1. It is. Check it's on transmit lock. It is. I've no reason to disbelieve any of that. So what you would do with the resistor here is resistor 52, and your test prod goes on to resistor 52 on your positive one, negative to chassis. You're looking for 3.5 volts on channel 40, and that's on transmit. There is a procedure with receive, and it's a matter of finding test point 3, which is resistor 6, and you're looking for maximum either on a what we'd call a vacuum tube voltmeter or a FET voltmeter, something which is very high impedance, or an oscilloscope. But there's no reason to doubt it on this particular set. So I mean, just check the VCO, slightly high, well within lock range. We'll move straight on to the transmitter. And these radios, of course, are 4 watts output. And let's see what we've got. And we've got 3.5. So the first transmit is L16. And the second one is L15. And then we have L13. then we move on to L14. Sorry, L12, I'm telling you lies. We're still at 3.5. And then finally we have L10, which is this one at the back. Let's use the yellow tool for that. Not quite going to do the 4 watts, I don't think. Mind you, I don't think I would if I'd had 230 volts mains put across me. Just going through these again, you know, just to see if we can get that a little bit closer. As I've said before, 3.5 watts on this test set. These are real watts. He's probably about 4.8 good buddy watts anyway. So I had somebody say to me they're getting 15 watts out of their Harvard base station on their Zetagi power meter. Well, you know, it isn't going to happen. Even if it's had all the silly things done to it which can be done to it, it's only going to do 7. It's really going to get you an extra couple of 100 yards, because as I've probably said before, you need to square the power to double the range. So to double the range from 4 watts, you need to go to 64 watts, which of course is totally legal. So there you go. So these odd few milliwatts here and there make no difference. Right, so we've tuned that to a generous about 3.8 watts. I'll just let that cool down. We'll just read that again. It's over 3.5. So the next thing we're going to do is set the meter, and the TX meter is VR3, which is this one here. So we'll just see what that's reading. Oh, I'm doing this all on the wrong channel, so I'll just pause the video while we just check I've got it right. That's better. I've missed L14, tuned it on channel 20. Now we're doing full 4 watts, even on my meter. So we're back to the TX meter, which should now be reading 4 watts, and I'll tell you what, it's exactly where it should be. It's in the centre of the red zone. However, if it needed adjusting, the TX meter is RT3 there. Now it's got low power, so we'll just flick it to low power, and we should be doing 0.4 of a watt. It's actually doing 100 milliwatts. The low power adjustment, sometimes these can be slightly dirty. It's the preset just there. VR4, I think that reads, yes. I'll just waggle that around a bit. After 30 years, it can get some muck in them. That's brought that back to life. And there we go, on 400 milliwatts. Right, we'll move over to the deviation, and if I can find where my oscillator has wandered off to. I don't know. Otherwise we'll just be doing the whistle test. They're all thieves in this prison, I'm sure. Okay, we'll come back to that another day. Right, so we're going to do the whistle test and not the oscillator. Warlow, 1 2 1 2. What we're looking for, I'll just switch the camera on the left-hand oscilloscope there. No, we're not. We're on the right-hand oscilloscope. That's that one. We're looking for a maximum of 2.5 kilohertz deviation, and it's VR5, which is this one. that's virtually spot on, so I'm pleased about that. We didn't need to use the oscillator after all. And then we'll check it's on frequency. We're on channel 20, it should be 27.79125. These aren't adjustable. 27.79124 toggling 5. The crystal, the quartz crystal for the reference oscillator is there, but there is no adjustments on this type of radio. So if it goes out of spec, it's a matter of changing the crystal. Not an ideal way. There we go, that covers the transmit on the Audioline PT340.